Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that if I waited for her to make memories with our son, we wouldn't have any? Last weekend, I 39M helped my son 14M dye his hair purple. Or my good friend who actually knew what he was doing helped dye my son's hair while I was there for music requests and object fetching. It was such a fun day, and I could tell how happy it made my boy. I didn't tell my wife before we did this, and that was the catalyst of the fight we're currently having. But for me, it's so much more than this one incident. My wife has been hands-off with our child for a while now. His soccer games, little road trips to nearby amusement parks, back to school shopping. She's too busy with work or too tired from work. So I've mostly just stopped having the conversations. Why would I waste my breath to have the same conversations on repeat? The night we dyed his hair, she started crying while we were talking, saying we were making all of these memories without her. I asked her what she expected me to do. If we waited for her to make memories, we would be sitting in a dark room 100% of the time. My son isn't even really comfortable with her anymore. There is no, I can't take you, go ask your mom. Now it's, I'm sorry I can't take you, let me see if friend is free that day. My wife isn't speaking to me now, and I'm wondering if I took it too far. I don't know. I was hoping some brutal honesty would change something. I would have loved having more kids, but I guess it's for the best now that she said no. Edit. I'm a stay-at-home dad. The original plan was for me to start working again when our son went to kindergarten, but my wife was gunning for a promotion around that time and asked me to stay at home longer. Once she got the promotion, her hours increased, so that time was extended once again. I am responsible for all the household chores and general homemaking tasks. I cook, clean, do all the yard work, all the grocery shopping, etc. I do enjoy being a stay-at-home dad, but I've been ready and willing to rejoin the workforce for a decade now. At this point, I will be getting a job when my son turns 16 and can get himself to and from school. But my wife still refuses to cut her hours even if I get a job, and gets frustrated every time I bring it up. There is no point in me forcing my son to ride the bus or figure out a ride for himself if my wife still won't make the effort or compromise in order to spend time with him. Listen, this could easily be a gender swap story. There are so many AITAs about wives who've stopped trying to artificially create moments for their husbands to be dads. And you are just as not the a-hole as they are. Being a parent is so much more than financial support. It's about emotional presence. You are there for your son, and it hurts him each time your wife has said she doesn't have time to be there for him that it now hurts him less to ask. Your son is the priority, not your wife's feelings. She is reaping the consequences of being a parent in finances only. Keep parenting your son. Don't hold back your love for him to make her feel less guilty. Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for taking my daughter out for a nice dinner and leaving everyone else to fend for themselves? My daughter's 16F and I 43F love eating at authentic Asian restaurants. We had to pick my son 12 up at a Korean barbecue about 40 minutes from our house. It was a party with another family. I suggested to my husband 44M of 25 years that he and the two other kids can have whatever they wanted for dinner and my daughter and I would get Korean barbecue at this restaurant. He said no, we should all go as a family. I reminded him that he and the other kids aren't big fans of Korean barbecue and it would be cheaper to eat separately. He insisted on everyone going. When we get to the restaurant and he sees the menu, he complains he doesn't know what to order and complains about the price. The other kids followed suit. I suggested they go eat in another restaurant in the plaza Andy daughter and I will get the Korean food. It smelled so amazing, by the way. We waited 20 minutes for a table and he continued to make comments about the price. Even told me, you better not order anything fancy. That was the last straw. I got up and went to the van. Everyone followed. I said I was taking everyone home and my daughter and I would go on our own to a local Korean barbecue. We did exactly that. Everyone else had McDonald's and played Roblox. I get home and he is fuming, saying that I owe everyone an apology. I refused. I said I had zero remorse. It seemed like everyone was happy but him and went to bed. I slept perfectly fine. He's still mad. So am I the a-hole for taking my daughter out for a dinner and leaving everyone else to do their own thing? Not the a-hole. You told him what your plan was, and he and you both knew he and the other kids didn't like Korean barbecue. There is nothing wrong with doing things separately occasionally. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to accept blame for my stepsister's accident? My parents are divorced and they have me 16M as their only kid. My dad's still single, but my mom's married again. Her husband has a 10-year-old daughter, so my stepsister. I split time equally between my parents. I'm at mom's house for a week, then I go home to dad the other week and I switch back over. My relationship with dad is better. Mom's always been a little too demanding. One thing that has pissed people off is she texts me during school and expects me to answer. She asks me to do stuff for her and I could be in the middle of class. My dad and most of my teachers encouraged me to let her know my phone was going on silent until I was finished for the day, and I started doing it. My mom even called my school before to say they needed to get me to text her back or call her. And I wish I was joking, but I'm not. Stuff she'll ask is for me to pick up milk at the store on my way home, or to pick up takeout that she ordered, and since she got married again, it might be to walk my stepsister home from school or to take her somewhere. I don't drive, so mom gets me to do it walking. She even made me stand outside my stepsister's basketball practice for an hour once because she insisted I had to go and pick her up before going to her house. Back in April, I had after-school stuff and I kept my phone on silent and didn't check because I didn't want to deal with mom saying she needed me to pick up something or whatever. When I was finished, I saw mom had texted and said I needed to pick my stepsister up from some Girl Scouts/camping thing. Then there was a call I missed and a voice note where mom was screaming at me because they got a call that my stepsister had been knocked down by a bike and was at the hospital. I get to mom's house and nobody's there, so I just do my homework and wait. Mom gets home a few hours later and tells me my stepsister walked on her own because nobody came to pick her up and she wasn't being careful and got run over, and that she was too young to walk alone. I told mom it wasn't my fault and it made mom blow a fuse because she thought I should feel more bad or whatever. We argued over how she knows I have after-school stuff, and she said family should take priority over any stuff. She chewed dad out for siding with the school on the phone thing, and he chewed her out for blaming me. Now every time I'm at her house we fight, and she told me I should be ashamed for my lack of feeling bad. Her husband is 100% on her side, and he's a jerk anyway, so that doesn't surprise me. My stepsister broke one of her legs, and she has damage done to her other knee, and it's likely a long-term/forever thing. But I don't feel like it's my fault when I never agreed to pick her up. They just didn't plan better. My mom keeps saying it's disgusting that I keep defending myself over this. Am I the a-hole? Your mom and her husband are the Oz. They knew your stepsister is too young to walk home on her own, yet as the adults who are legally and morally responsible for her, they did not make the necessary arrangements to pick her up. Not the a-hole. Can you ask your dad to go back to court to get full custody as your mom is parentifying you and using you as an unpaid babysitter and caretaker for your stepsister? You're 16? You then should be able to push back on dad and tell him you prefer to live full-time at dad's. You should also be old enough to decide if you still want to go to mom's to visit. You don't need that toxic environment at mom's. Opie replies, we already tried that. The judge said I need to keep 50-50 until I'm 18. I even spoke to the judge. But he said a teenager doesn't get to make the decision and that I have two equally fit parents, so both should get an equal amount of time. That was even with the info about mom texting me all through school and calling my school to make me answer. Not the a-hole. Your mom is at fault. She knew what events your sister had planned and had ample time to arrange her pickup before school started. Opie replies, she's always like that. Not only with my stepsister and picking her up, but asking me to do stuff by a certain time when she knows I'm staying late or have after-school stuff. She expects me to drop and do what she wants or what her husband wants. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to do school drop-off/pickup for my ex's stepdaughter or let her come to my house with our boys after school? My ex 34F and I 35M share custody of our two boys 10 and 8. She left me for her husband 40 meters 4 years ago and sued for sole custody, which she lost. Then her husband tried to start crap with me. He bragged about all his money and how he'd spoil the crap out of his new sons, and they'd see why a two-parent household was better than a struggling single-parent household. So bad blood exists between us. Luckily, they could never come between me and my boys. The whole "we have so much money" thing lasted all of a year and a half, and then she started asking for more money. She tried suing for more child support and in general would whine about their poor financial state. I ignored it all and offered to take primary custody if that would help. My ex has a stepdaughter who's 7, and she lives with them full-time. They also have 2 children together. A month ago, ex sent me a message through our co-parenting app asking me to take her stepdaughter to and from school each day when the kids are back at school. She also wanted me to keep her stepdaughter at my house 3 to 4 x a week after school. Apparently, finances are so tight that they cannot afford childcare, and her family do not want the stepdaughter but are watching the younger 2 so she and her husband can work. For more than a year now, I was already doing it all for our sons. I have them after school on her parenting time, and I pick them up for school and drop them off. But I do not want to do her or her husband any favors. This was for my boys, and they don't want to have their stepsister over at our house. I talked to them about it after they said their mom mentioned it to them. They don't seem too fond of her or their half-siblings, and they like having me without their stepsister or half-siblings. For me, that's all I needed. This girl is not my child, and while I feel bad that she clearly isn't treated well by my ex's family, I do not feel it should be on me. My ex has pushed for this repeatedly through the app. My attorney knows. She's keeping tabs, and if we ever need it, we have proof of everything for court should things get to that point again. Ex has tried to guilt and shame me for saying no. She also tried to blame me if something bad happened to her stepdaughter because she had bad childcare if they have to scrape cheap care together. I still don't feel like that's my responsibility. But am I the a-hole for refusing? They wrote all of that on the co-parenting app. Time for you to become the primary parent on paper and practice. Next story. Am I the a-hole for getting a coworker fired for accidentally making me have an allergic reaction? I, 19M, am an intern at an office, and last week we had a potluck/celebrating a manager coming back from maternity leave. Well, my supervisor, Mr. K, is a little creepy, but not concerningly, he just does weird things like he asked for my social media, which I guess isn't that strange, but he comments under everything I post, buys me lunch, calling me outside of work, gives me special treatment, etc. It's made some of the other interns not like me. Sarah in particular doesn't like me. I think she feels slighted because she definitely works the hardest out of all the interns, but I'm given most of the praise and attention for the above reasons. I let everyone know I'm allergic to milk, not lactose intolerant. Guess who made cupcakes that were dairy-free? Now, I don't know if she intentionally lied, but she kept trying to get me to eat one of the red velvet cupcakes, and I had an allergic reaction. I always keep an EPI pen, but I still had to go to the hospital because my throat and tongue swelled. Sarah acted like she was so sorry, saying that she used dairy-free cream cheese. Mr. K went with me to the hospital and took me home. I took off a few days, and when I came back, Sarah was fired. I only knew after I asked someone I was kind of on good terms with, but I was getting the cold shoulder from everyone else. They think Sarah was fired unfairly, and if it had been anyone else, nothing that serious would have happened. Either way, the only reason I'm happy I got her fired is because of her Mr. K now has my address, and for all we know, she could have been fired for something else. Edit. I guess it's confusing people, but I meant I'm happy she got fired because he now knows where I live, meaning I don't want him having my address, but because of her, he has it now. Basically, I meant she got what she deserved, even though I don't have 100% proof it wasn't an accident. It still made my life less private now. NTA people have been charged with attempted murder for that sort of thing, or at least aggravated assault by poisoning. She's lucky she isn't in prison. Being fired is the least of her problems. I'd suggest talking to a labor and personal injury lawyer near you. Jurisdictions can vary a little. Watch out for that supervisor, though. They may have your back right now, but some of what you described does look like they want to date, which is ethically inappropriate between supervisor and employee and could get him or both of you fired, also depending on the company. Not the a-hole. You are not responsible for your supervisor's actions or your coworkers' continued employment. Next story. Would I be the a-hole if I ended a relationship before her dirty 30? Edit. My girlfriend and had a long and good conversation and worked everything out. There is no need to comment from your perspective on my relationship. I didn't end things. Hope you have a good day. I, 25M, have been dating this woman for 3 years now. In a few weeks, she's going to celebrate her dirty 30 and has been giving me lists of things she wants. Apparently, I'm supposed to get 30 different gifts. Her surprise party is already being planned from the very little information I received. The party was her idea from the beginning. I also basically passed down the responsibility to her best friend. A portion of her expectations for her dirty 30 is why I want to end things. I can't explain why it frustrates me. I just feel tired. It's all she talks about since this month started. I talked to my dad about this situation and his advice was, keep her happy. It will be easier in the long run. My mom also said it'd be awful if I ended the relationship before her celebration. She said turning 30 is hard on women. I don't think 3 years together is long enough for me to feel like I am losing anything on this relationship. Would I be the a-hole if I ended our relationship tomorrow or something? Edit. Thinking about why I have been feeling frustrated after reading some comments. It's not over gifts or the party. I don't mind spoiling her. We both for 3 years have spoiled one another. I knew from the beginning she was materialistic, and that never bothered me. I am bothered by her handing me a list. It reminds me of my boss. I would rather her be my romantic partner and not my boss. I'm going out to meet my girlfriend for coffee. She knows by the tone of my voice that we are about to have a serious conversation. I'm going to tell her everything that I have written down. See how she reacts and discuss our relationship from that point. We may or may not break up. To clarify, it's never been about the list of gifts. I don't mind getting her everything off her list. She could have handed me this list on a regular day and I would have spent the day shopping with her. I would have preferred a list on any day that holds no meaning. Most of the list items are not expensive or difficult to get. Stuff she needs for her kitchen. One of the expensive ones is a tattoo. I don't mind paying for her first tattoo. I don't have any issues with spoiling her, especially on her birthday. I don't know how I can be any more clear about this. I'm bothered and wanted to break up with her because of a separate issue that I figured out. I was upset because I felt like an important conversation I wanted to have was put on the back burner for her celebration. This conversation was about me planning a life with her. Also, if you are uncomfortable calling your birthday a dirty 30, then you don't have to. Not everyone feels bad about turning 30. Not everyone feels old. I also met with my girlfriend and had a conversation with her. We worked things out. For those asking or saying I don't love her because I can drop 3 years and feel like I lost nothing is because my personal opinion, we have not lived together. We lived separate lives. I had planned on talking to her about moving in together or purchasing a house at a dinner I took her to after I got a promotion. That conversation never happened. That's why I feel bothered. Also, neither of us place any value on marriage, nor do we want children. I feel like you've been unhappy, and this is the straw that broke the camel's back. Doesn't seem like you're the most compatible pair. You're more low-key. She's more extravagant. Nothing is wrong with that, but it sounds like if you continue this, it'll only be exhausting for you and disappointing for her. Opie replies, I think you've figured out my exact feelings. I never had an issue with her being extravagant before, though. I don't understand when that changed. I do prefer small gatherings or not celebrating my own birthday. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share, and subscribe to channel our posts.